Hello, welcome to KartKraft. This is an Alpha Monday preview. It's been a while since I've done an Alpha Monday, but I was taking a look at KartKraft. I picked it up a few weeks ago, and just for various reasons I haven't had a chance to actually make a video on it, but I am doing one now. So we're in version 0.1.0.1498, and what I'm going to do is give you my first impressions on this title, show you what it's about, and give you a few I guess a few tips or a few of my thoughts on whether or not you should buy it, so my opinions on whether it's worth a purchase. Currently available in early access. It will be available, or they are anticipating a full release sometime in the middle of 2019, at least that's the plan currently. As you know, plans do change, but I do hope that they manage to actually fulfill that. So make sure you stay tuned for the next maybe half an hour or so to get my thoughts on this title. The first thing I'd like to get out of the way is the fact that there are Christmas hats everywhere. As you can guess, on the day that this is coming out, I think this is coming out on Christmas Eve, if I have got that correct. It's coming out on Christmas Eve 2018. This update did have this whole Christmas hat thing, so yeah, just ignore the Christmas hat for now, or I mean, by all means, make a comment on the Christmas hat. I think it looks very nice on the KartKraft logo. Doesn't look so great on top of the helmet. Let's start by going into the preferences. Before we get into the kart, I want to show you the options that are available, particularly on the inputs, because I was very impressed with that. But let's have a look at the game options at the moment. So you can see that they have got all the options for cameras. They've got a HUD. They've sorted things out like temperature units and proximity indicators and delta modes and things like that. So they have already thought about this. Racing lines, assisted steering, and so on and so forth. So they have thought of all that. Now, inputs is where I was quite impressed, because when I first actually plugged my steering wheel in, my Logitech G27, very trusty steering wheel, had it for quite a few years now. I'm surprised it hasn't died yet. It's getting a little bit loud, but it hasn't died yet. It said to me, "We've detected a Logitech G27. Would you like to would you like us to bind all the keys to it?" Sure. Did that. No, nothing needed to change. The only thing I've changed is a little bit on the cameras. I think I've changed some information or something for the camera, some of the movement controls. I think it's this one here I've put in for the camera, or this one here, one or the other, and that's it. I haven't actually changed anything else whatsoever. And as you can see, my throttle application, brake application right there. Now, interestingly enough, my brakes aren't pressing full, so I am going to just sort that out and see if there's just something that's happened over here. Brake strength 90. There we go. Brake strength 90 to 100. So that's just there to help us. Now with throttle, I have noticed it's slightly odd. It seems to be bringing it up every now and then, which is not something that I am doing. So I'd like to give it maybe a not that much dead zone, just maybe a 2% dead zone on the throttle. That's it. Just so I do have to press it a bit. And after doing some real karting, I have realized that you do have to give the throttle a bit of a kick for it to be able to actually respond to you. So there we go. So I've done a little bit of karting recently. The other thing that I really quite like is the soft lock. So I haven't had to change my steering wheel down from 900 degrees of rotation. All I've done is it's worked out for me and said that a go-kart, because you only have 180 degrees of rotation, I can go 90 that way. That's full. That's full. Job done. I don't have to change anything there. Going to there you go. Profile rotation, it's worked out for me. Everything's fine. And force feedback. I have brought the force feedback down primarily for recording purposes. It is loud. It is a go-kart, therefore you feel a lot of vibration, a lot of bumps in the road, things like that. So I have had to bring that feedback down. But I will be talking about the feedback and how I feel with that force feedback, what's missing, what's good, what's bad, and they are actually changing it as each update goes on. So for example, 2 updates ago it was very good, then the last update it might not have been so good, then this update might be better, so on and so forth. So I'm just going to give you an overall impression on the way they are progressing with that force feedback from what I can tell. So once we leave that, graphics options are pretty standard. Nothing special about that. I have limited it to 60 to try and get the smoothest experience for you guys on YouTube, and sound wise I guess I'll bring the music down to about 50 because it was a little bit loud, but we're not going to have that in the race anyway. It's very basic music anyway. Going back into this, what do we have? So what is KartKraft and what is it supposed to do? Well, it is trying to be a karting sim. So we've got lots of race sims. We've got Gran Turismo, which is sort of simcade. We've got Project Cars, which is more towards simulation. Then you've got full-on simulations. Assetto Corsa, iRacing, I suppose Assetto Corsa Competizione, rFactor, definitely. Is there, what's that DTM one? I cannot remember the name of that DTM one. RaceRoom Experience or something? One of them. All of them are simulators. This is looking to be a simulator for go-karts, which is something we've never had before. So we get to start a go-kart right from the ground up. We're going to be able to build a go-kart, customize everything on the go-kart, customize our suit, our helmets, our gloves, our shoes, our team, and then go out there and race. So if you go into the shop, you'll see that they have a few manufacturers currently. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and each one of them are slightly different. So if you have a look at this cart right here, just pay close attention to maybe this part down there and then the shape of this front part here. If we then go to another manufacturer, you'll see that that is slightly different. Go to this one, you'll see that that is massively different at the front, and even at the side it's got some differences. Go over here, again you've got some differences at the front, at the side, along here. Look at that, that's all covered up. So each one has its own bodywork. Currently there is only one chassis available, and there's only one engine available, I believe, but there are different manufacturers, so different bodywork types. They are planning to have a lot more. They're planning to have, I think, 20 manufacturers, 10 officially licensed tracks, and of course the whole karting experience. So they are looking to partner up with different companies such as Sparco, for example, who they have a partnership with already. If we go to the pit, you can see that there is one of my karts that I have, and here's the other kart. Now if you have a look here, you can clearly see the difference. Look there. First thing you'll notice is the change of that. Second thing you'll notice, if we keep swinging through the two of them, that there is a slight change on this section here. See how that's got an extra lip? That doesn't. That's just smoothed down. So you've got that change. You'll notice the steering wheel is different actually. You'll actually notice one of them has a round bottom steering wheel. This has a flat bottom steering wheel. So there you go. You've got differences there. Anyway, like I said, with all of that kind of stuff, there you go. You can see the whole bunch of things that you can change. So you've got the tie rods there that you could change. You've got the stub axle on that side. You've got the wheel hubs themselves. Oops. You've got the wheel hubs themselves for each wheel can be changed. The rim, if you wanted to change the rim on each wheel, you could change that. The chassis itself, as I said, currently has got this Arrow X3 chassis. You could go to the completely blank chassis if you wanted to. So they do actually have slight differences to the chassis. Actually, I'll stand corrected. They seem to have slight differences, but it looks mostly the same. The nose cone you could change out. The steering column, the tie rods. They're the tie rods. That wasn't actually a tie rod. That was main suspension bit. The steering rack, or the steering wheel, the steering, the data logger. That's at the top of the steering wheel. The seats, you could change out the seat. Then the sound panel, I'm not sure what that is. I think that's this area here. The side pod could be changed. The bumpers, the engine, the bearing carrier, the axle, the pedals, the fuel tank, the master cylinder, the brake caliper, the brake rotors, the tyres, the camera, the engine mount, the carburetor, the airbox, the exhaust, the sprockets, torsion bars changed, and water pumps. So there are lots of things that can be changed. You could literally customize your kart as you want it and how you want it. So that's really cool. So with all that being said and done, let's go over to drive and actually drive. Now I'm not going to do a race against AI, I'm just going to do practice. I'm just going to do practice. I'm going to choose PFI. So currently there are 3 tracks available. They intend to have 10 laser scan tracks. Currently there are 3 laser scan tracks available. We're going to do PFI, which is in Grantham, Lincolnshire, or Lincolnshire. I know exactly where this is. It would be nice to actually see. It would be nice to go to this go-kart track and race around it. I might try and do that at some point. We'll choose this. We're not going to change the weather. You can only have, I think, sunny and overcast are the only 2 available options. We'll go for sunny. I think, is that it? Yep. Then we just have to go to start event. We'll pick our kart. I can't change the number at the moment, unfortunately, but that's okay. I'm guessing that's something that is going to be coming, because you have to be able to change the number of your go-kart. That's one of the key things about the go-kart. So we'll just press join session here, and here we are. Right, I'll start with hitting the brakes, and the first thing I'm going to say, once it loads in, there we go, it's all loaded in. Looks beautiful. It really, really looks beautiful. I think it's using, is it using Unreal Engine 4? But it looks fantastic all the way through, and you'll hear what it sounds like very soon. In fact, you can just hear it just a little bit there, what it sounds like. But we're going to take a really good listen to it. In fact, I just noticed a little bit of input lag, just a little bit. It seemed to get itself stuck a little bit. But anyway, let's get out on this, and we'll talk about the physics, the sounds, and what I feel what I feel this is capable of. The first thing I actually want to show you is that turning the wheel tilts the chassis, as you would expect, because it lifts the wheel of the car, or it lifts the wheel of the cart because there's no suspension. So it actually pushes it. Now let's get out on track. Now I'm not going to say I'm going to be any very fast, because odds are I'm not going to be fast. So we're going to take it easy just for a lap or 2. And one thing I'm going to say is that it's very loud, and it sounds like a go-kart, because when I went driving go-karts, this is what it sounded like. This is definitely what it sounded like. And it's going to take me a while to get used to this. I'm not the greatest go-kart driver. In fact, I wouldn't even call myself a great go-kart driver. But we're going to see what the lap time is, and then we'll see. We're going to see what I can try and get out of this. So we'll set myself a target or something. This way. So I know the layout of the track. Okay, so again, visually stunning. Right, 106 is what I just set. I set a 106, I feel like I can do much better than that. Oh, I say that as I go off track. Lots of rattling. But I feel like a 106 is very slow. So one thing I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to get the go-kart to slide. And it's not easy to do that when you can't feel it under you. It's not easy at all to get the go-kart to slide. Because you don't have that sort of underneath you feeling, you just don't know what the go-kart's doing exactly. And it makes it a lot harder. So I'm going to set a target for, I'm going to set myself a target for a 1 minute lap. If I can get myself to a 1 minute lap, I feel like that would be a good achievement for me. by the end of this video whilst talking, obviously, to you guys. So I don't think I've got to say anything about the sounds. The sounds are incredible. The one thing I will say is they seem to be a bit clipped. That's one thing I will say. They do seem to be a little bit clipped, and I am noticing that. So maybe they need to bring the not the level, but the gain of the sound down a little bit, just to avoid that distortion. They may need to retake the sounds if they're clipping that badly in places. Graphically, it's running pretty smooth. The steering wheel looks like it's running at a slightly lower frame rate than the rest of the track, which is a bit odd. Whoa. Okay, lost control of the kart there. Alright, so we're currently on a 104. But I'm starting to get the hang of this kart. Now, the thing about karting is it's nothing like driving a car. I know they say, oh, it's got 4 wheels. It's nothing like driving a car. My brakes are at the back. I don't have front brakes. So, as you can see, I don't have front brakes. Everything is sort of hinging on the back of this car, on the back of the vehicle. There is no suspension on this. There is no power steering. Everything is directly into what I can feel in the steering wheel. So it's more of a 1-to-1 ratio with this kart than I'd ever have with a car, as far as I can tell. Also, the movements are so much more. Your movements have to be so much more subtle. You know, turning a wheel 20 degrees, 30 degrees makes a huge difference in a go-kart. 90 degrees left or right is full lock. And compare that to a real car where you're probably looking at, what, 3.5 turns? You're looking at what? You're probably looking at two and a bit turns lock to from one lock, so probably about 4.5 turns lock to lock is 4.5 turns. This, lock to lock, is half a turn. And that's a big difference. That is a really big difference, that is, in my opinion. Everything's just so much more dangerous. And it does really show. But that's something that I think KartKraft have pulled off really, really well. The feeling of me driving a go-kart is there. It's definitely there with this. The kart feels quite realistic. It's very skittish. It's very agile. It requires tiny movements. Every bump, even with the force feedback turned down for recording purposes, every bump I can feel. I can feel every single bump. And I know what the kart is doing. I know why it's reacting the way it is. And I'll be honest, if I put the force feedback up, I feel that after, even on a G27, after maybe 45 minutes of trying this, I would start feeling tired 45 minutes after doing it. I would start, or maybe not, so tired's probably not the right word. I would start feeling the strain of driving a kart with all the movements and all the bumps, and that's interesting because when I drove a real kart, after I'd done it for a half an hour, I would say that I started feeling very slight amounts of discomfort in my arms. Not major amounts of discomfort, no, of course not, but there were slight amounts of discomfort in my arms from not being used to driving something so raw. And that's something that we're getting here. That's something that we're definitely getting experience of here. As I set a, 102? Looking to improve upon that now. Really got to avoid that curb, it's really hurting me. And the thing is with karts, is that they are driven by the throttle. So you need to be on the throttle to be making the most of it. And because it's such a short lap, the slightest of mistakes, for example there, it just ruins it for you. It really messes the lap up. But on the other hand, KartKraft is really... I think they've already nailed the experience of karting. That's something no other sim has done. Or game. And that includes Mario Kart. I mean, I want to. The thing is with this is, I want to push this kart further. I want to get that extra 1/10 of a second down, 2/10 of a second down every lap. I'm trying to work out when can I brake later, when can I slide the kart, and that brings me on to a good point. The one thing this doesn't replicate, and it's no fault of KartKraft and the developers of this title, no fault whatsoever to them, because they can't do this, and that is the feeling underneath in your seat. There is no feeling in the seat. Okay, now with no feeling in the seat, that means that, for example, that was a good example there, as I slid out of that corner, I had no idea how the kart was going to respond. And with a kart, or there, for example, I had no idea how the kart was going to respond. Now, when it comes to a car, that's okay, right? That's not a problem, because a car has suspension. A car reacts somewhat on its own. That's the idea of a car. It has that capability to dampen something, or to cope with bumps in the road, and to cope with tiny little slides and skipping of the wheels. A go-kart, all of that is stripped out of it. It's the purest form of driving. And with the purest form of driving, it makes it doubly hard in a simulator when you don't have every bit of information that you could use. So, sure, could I go to PFI? Could I go to PFI and learn this track inside out and bring that into the sim? I think so. Yes, I could do that. And then I could bring it into the sim and I'd know how the kart slides, because I've done this in real life. But having not done it, I can't go to a racetrack. I can't go to every racetrack that's going to be in this sim. See, I didn't see that coming at all, because I did not feel it. So I cannot go to every racetrack in the sim and get a feel for it. And unfortunately, I think that's something that they will never solve in this. They can make amazing force feedback, and don't get me wrong, the force feedback does need improvements, but it's pretty good force feedback. It really is. I understand what the kart is doing. I understand how the kart feels. What I don't get is the slip. And that's something that you can't really replicate through a wheel. You need to be able to feel the kart pushing to the left, pushing to the right. And I don't have that, so I can't tell. And there's nothing that anybody can do about that. Now, I'm sure I could get myself some sort of transducer device, maybe a butt kicker or something like that I could install onto my seat, and that will try and convert certain low frequency vibrations into an amplified source that would be on my seat, but that still wouldn't give me the feel of a car sliding, because I wouldn't be able to feel the G-force of the car sliding. And on a go-kart, kind of important. Nevertheless, does that mean that this title is not fun? Not in the slightest. This title is a ridiculous amount of fun. Well, apparently my optimal lap is now within the 1 minute, though I've been talking. So I am getting better. I just need to work out how to do this now. So it's a ridiculous amount of fun, this is. And for its current price, which the normal price that it's been selling at in early access is £15.99. I suppose the price that is on sale, I think at the moment, for £13.50 at the time of this. At the time I'm recording this, it's probably worth that price. There's a lot coming to it. There's a lot of good stuff already in the title, and it runs well. It runs smooth. The sounds are great. There is so much planned for this title. You saw with the customizability of the kart. I could spend forever customizing the kart and making my own helmets and things like that. So I could spend a long time doing things in that form, and this title seems ready to be able to give me that kind of experience. So for that, I think it's definitely worth it. For the karting experience as a whole, I don't think any title has ever considered this before, ever. And on that's probably worth it as well. So that's two positives it has going for it. I'm just trying to think of any negatives it's got that it can rectify. At the moment, I haven't seen any plans for indoor tracks. I'd love them to have indoor tracks. That would be really cool, because I think indoor tracks would do wonders on this. 101.5. Yeah, indoor karting. Really think that would be cool. I haven't seen, now this is something, I haven't seen plans for shifter karts. However, I did see plans, or I have looked at the controls, and there is a gear up and gear down button. So if there is something built in for gear up and gear down, I can only assume that there are shifter karts coming in. Don't quote me on that, but I can only assume that from the controls, even though it hasn't been mentioned. I'd love to see shifter karts, but definitely indoor tracks. You know, maybe team up with over in the UK. We've got a company called Team Sport, and they do karting in the UK in a number of locations. I think they've got in London, in Birmingham, Manchester, Leeds. You know, a number of locations they have these karts. So that would be interesting. Maybe if you were to team up with them and potentially create indoor tracks as part of a pack with them, that would be awesome. Maybe with their karts as well, with their Team Sport go-karts. It would be good publicity, I think, on one side. On one front, it would be interesting to see, and I think it would be really nice, because something like Team Sport karting is something that all the public can go to. You know, you just book your go-kart and then off you trot. So it's where I've been to a Team Sport karting track before. That's my first proper karting experience, and it'd be nice to be able to, you know, hone your skills in something like this, then go out on the track and absolutely obliterate the lap records. That would be interesting, I'd say. So indoor karts would be nice, or indoor tracks. Not indoor karts. Indoor karts are just karts. all karts are karts. Other things that need to be improved, the sounds. Whilst amazing sounds, they are clipping, and I think that clipping needs to be addressed just to give it a more authentic feel. I don't sit in a go-kart and rev it up to hear it clipping in my ear. The clipping in the ear makes it feel a bit synthetic. That makes it artificial, and that's something that if they manage to get rid of, that would be really awesome. That would be really awesome to see that. Aside from that and the fact that I've just done this, I feel like they have a fantastic title here, a fantastic concept, never been thought of before. It looks beautiful. Aside from the clipping issues, it sounds beautiful. Physics-wise, it feels not perfect, but it definitely feels like a go-kart. All the key features are there, all the key feelings are there. It's something that because the laps are so short, it's not like you're waiting 2 minutes or sometimes even longer for a lap to complete, and you're thinking, right, how do I improve upon that? These laps, I have a feeling that can be done. I have a feeling a lap like one of these laps, with enough practice, I could probably do in about 58 seconds, 57 seconds. So it's very quick. Everything's just like push. And that's nice, because it means that you've got that feeling of, yes, I want to improve on the next lap, and it's only the next corner that I have, the next time I go around this corner, is only a few seconds away. Now, the next time I go around this corner is going to be 50 seconds time. It's going to be in 40 seconds time, 50 seconds time. It's going to be longest in a minute's time. And with that, I feel like that's important. That actually gives this title a lot of appeal. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and do a couple of laps quietly, without talking, that is, and give you guys a bit of a... Let's give you guys a bit of a show on this. Let's see how good I actually am at karting before giving you my final thoughts and rounding out, I suppose, whether you should buy this or not. We'll probably talk a little bit through these like this, but not much. Just really trying to get the breaking point for this one down. Oh, I don't think that was it, but... And that definitely was too slow. Way too slow. I'm just turning into that one too fast. And the key to this is clearly smoothness. You've got to be smooth on this. And I've learnt that about karting, full stop. Still not fast enough. And again, if you brake too hard, you just you end up snapping that rear end around, and that's not ideal either. Alright, so I'm going to end it there. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to hit the like button if you like this video, subscribe to the channel for more videos on KartKraft. Do I think you should buy this title? As I say, subscribe for more videos on KartKraft. That's only if you want it. Leave a comment letting me know. Do I think you should pick up KartKraft? Actually, I think you should. I do think you should, but if you want more to the title, maybe just wait a couple of months. Maybe just wait a couple of months, maybe till February time, something like that. But if you really want to support these developers and just enjoy hot slapping a go-kart and perfecting your skills, it's ready right now for you to purchase. It's definitely ready, and I highly recommend it. I feel like I'm going to be doing a lot more of this in my free time. So don't forget to support me on Patreon, www.patreon.com/ecgadget. Your support would be massively appreciated. It would really help me out. Also, if you're not watching this on Twitch, which you're probably not, because I might not have uploaded this to Twitch, don't forget to follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/ecgadget, and you can find me on social media at ecgadgetlp for both Twitter and Instagram. That's all from me, and I hope to see you guys next time in another Alpha Mondays. And maybe when KartKraft gets a few more updates, I'll probably bring this back. But yeah, definitely enjoying this title. One of the best titles that I have played in an early access state. We'll finish off this lap, though slow as it may be. And I will say, wait for it. I'll see you guys next time.